Good morning. This is the Blaine's World podcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You can also listen on Spotify. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can also get more information and listen to previous shows on our website, www.blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And to that end, it's my pleasure to introduce my guest. And she is, I have to get the correct name, she is Fancy Marie. Is that the correct name?
That's the one. Yep, you got
Okay.
it.
And Fancy Marie I've known for a bunch of years, one of my favorite singers, talented performers as well. And we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the stuff that Fancy Marie is involved in. But first I have to ask you the question.
Okay.
The origin of the name Fancy Marie
Uh-huh.
is?
Uh, well, so I don't know if you're familiar with the song Fancy, originally by Bobby Gentry.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a cool song from the 70s. And it was remade by Reba McEntire. And I grew up on a bunch of 90s country music and Reba McEntire specifically. And so uh, if you listen to the words of that song, it's I identify with it very strongly.
So how long have you been Fancy Marie?
I took that name on maybe a year and a half ago.
Okay. So intentionally, I'm not going to mention your other name because that'll confuse people. So we just. By the way, when I see you, what do I call you now? Do people call you Fancy now, or do they call you?
Yeah, fancy is great. Fancy sounds good. We're theater friends, so uh
I love it.
yeah.
Whatever. And then I'd
Yeah.
love to. So the name of the group you have backing you up. What's their name?
So that's Fancy and the Gentleman.
Okay. And let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit about then, Rebecca. Even though you and I have talked before on the air, we'll kind of update it. Your background is in terms of music and theater. When did you start performing? I guess. How old were you?
Uh, I have been singing literally my entire life. The first time I can remember singing on stage with a microphone in my hand to a large room of people, I was 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have a record of that?
I don't actually. I don't think that I do. Yeah, I mean, it was at a church Christmas show. I sang the first Noel in it, so I don't think there's any video. I wish. Yeah.
We'll have to recreate that, or one of your upcoming gigs. We'll have you do that
Okay.
song. I think I may have told you that'd be a great fundraiser, for example, for SAWT or some other theater, that everybody
Yeah.
would recreate their very first role. What was your first role in a show? Do you remember?
In a theater show?
Yeah.
Uh, no, I mean, I think it was like high school. I think my first show, full show ever. No, it was in middle school. I did West Side Story.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
What was your role?
Uh, I think I was a dancer. Like I was one of those people that joined late. They were like, "Oh, have you ever heard of a musical?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" And they were like, "Oh, well, you dance and sing and stuff. Like they're doing this show where you have to be able to sing and dance." And I was like, "Cool. What's the Okay, sure."
Well, I've had the pleasure also of seeing you, I think, in a couple of things in terms of theater. Do you have a
Mhm.
preference as to theater or performing as a solo artist with a band?
Man, it depends on the theater. It depends on the show with the band.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
remember, in terms of the band, or it could be theater as well, do you remember your first paid gig? Or one of them?
Yeah. With the instrumental band, like a
Right.
like a
Yeah.
blues band or something like that. I mean, yeah, I was in my early 20s, I think.
Because
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm looking at you in the background. I don't see that check framed, the very first time you ever got paid, you know.
Oh, ha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably because it wasn't much.
And probably long gone. So
Yeah.
so you did some performing in high school, college. How old were you when you had your first band or band behind you?
Um, Something that like I fronted and put together myself.
Well, that'd be great. Or even somebody else fronted. The very first time you were ever asked to be in a band.
Oh gosh. I think the reason that I'm having trouble answering these questions is because it's literally always been there. Like I don't
Gotcha.
remember a time when I've ever not sang in some group or some, yeah, done something.
And talk about what you just said. So the idea that you've oftentimes front a band, but in the last couple of years, you've now taken to actually starting your own bands and getting
Mhm.
bands together. Are you
Yeah.
enjoying that?
Yeah, most of the time.
When
No,
everybody shows up on
I mean, just
time.
like anything, it's, it's got its ups and downs and it's got its really hard times, like any relationship or any, job or any organization. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I love that this is the hard thing that I'm doing in life rather than some other hard thing.
And talk a little
So,
bit about then one of the reasons we have the show on tonight is you have some very exciting stuff coming up in the
mhm.
near future. Actually, two dates coming up, and talk a little bit about those two dates, if you would, please.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to say I realize I'm not selling this very well. It's actually really, no,
I'm,
it
I'm,
is.
I'm
Like
trying to help you.
yeah, no, I will be honest. Yeah, I mean it's when you're in the middle of releasing your first EP, that's your band and songs you wrote and members that you work to put together and rehearsals that you work to organize and just everything that goes with it. It's really, I mean, it's a lot of work. And so it can be exhausting, but like this is the only thing that I can imagine ever being willing to work this hard on, because I love music more than anything in the world. So
And
yeah.
what's to your credit, and what's tough about it is that it sounds like you're doing almost all the stuff yourself. You don't have a bunch of people helping you.
And that was true. If you had asked me a year ago, I would have said, yeah, I was doing a lot myself. But I have learned how to ask for help and enlist the right people to help, who really want to help or who feel good about it or just their particular skill set like is a thing that can help. I do a lot of the admin work myself, although I just hired a fellow theater friend, Dylan Giles, to
Oh,
help
sure.
PR and marketing and stuff like that, and like kind of basically just like talk to me every week about you know brand and what I'm doing here and inspiration and just to have like creativity hour.
I love
So
it.
yeah, I've got that. And I have some of the most incredible musicians that Asheville has to offer, particularly in the style that I'm doing, and so they just really, when they show up and they are present and they are doing what they love doing and what they do best, that's not something I could do. So all a part of it. And I think that's just kind of how these things grow is, yeah, when it's your band and your music and your stuff, you've got to be the impetus, you've got to be the spark, the inspiration, the thing that keeps waking up every morning and saying like, okay, we're still doing this, we're still um but if you keep doing that, it really does, I think, and you find the right people and they find you, they gravitate towards you, and then you know everybody's energy just kind of turns up even more. So no, I wouldn't say that I'm doing it on my own, but there is a lot that I motivate
And talk a
from
little bit
myself.
about, Becky, you mentioned the two shows in March. So
Yeah.
talk about the dates and where they are, and then we'll talk a little bit about the music. Yeah.
Cool. So the logistics of that are, yeah, this is our first EP release where it's called Box of Love Letters. We've got 3 recorded tracks that we did in my great friend Andrew Thelson's studio, and was mixed by Michael Ridenour. And we are performing those live for the public in conjunction with Blue Ridge Orchestra's spring concert, which they call Musique Menage. Craig Kelberg on bass, as well as Kate Bryant, who was playing with us on fiddle, wrote arrangements for 26 string orchestra. So it's 45 minutes of original music that we have worked up in 3-part harmony and percussion and all of this stuff with the Blue Ridge Orchestra playing with us.
Well, have you ever done that before?
Nope.
Wow, that's exciting.
It really is. It was on the bucket list to do something like this. Yeah.
And when's that going to be and where?
So that's March 4th, at Haywood Community College from 3 to 5. And then March 5th is the official in-town Asheville EP release concert, which will be in the Lipinski building on UNCA's campus. So, and the first hour, again, that's both days is 3 to 5. And the first hour is a program exclusively with Blue Ridge Orchestra conducted by Milt Krotz. And then the second hour, the second 45-minute program is with us, also conducted by Milt Krotz. And our fiddle parts are done by soloist Paula Akbar, which is their first-year violinist.
And if people want to get more information about those two shows, where do they get it?
So everything that Fancy and the Gentleman does, I have on my website, www.fancyandthegentleman.com or fancymarieonstage.com. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. I would also go to the blueridgeorchestra.org website for specific tickets. But you can also find link tickets on my website and if you look us up on bands in town and, kind of a quick Google search for any of that stuff.
And since we're talking about that upcoming show, I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot here, but I could ask you to play one number or do one number from that upcoming show?
Yeah, sure. I would love to.
Even though we don't have the whole orchestra behind us, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, take it
That's
away,
fine. I'll do my best to, this is solo version,
Okay, great.
I like having lots of different versions of our songs, one day we'll have EDM dance remix album of all of these songs. But let's see. I'm not gonna I've done Box of Love Letters a lot for a lot of things. I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna do a different song from that. Let's go with I'll start slow. Warm people up right now, if that's cool.
Okay, great.
All right. This one's called Yoga in Your Living Room. If after our working day is through, when we find our love has moved on from the new, will you still read to me when I have trouble sleeping? Will we work out the plans that we have been here dreaming? But for now, you've got to go. They're waiting for you down on Music Row. I'll build the garden while you go make all that dough. Why do you seem so sure when I need to go slow? They ask me, darling, why do you doubt me when you know my love is true? Whenever I leave, I just can't wait to get back to you. But it's so easy to say it's so when everything is right. When we've got all the time to hold each other every night. When you come back to me once more, we'll do some yoga on your living room floor. We'll laugh and talk about the way we spent our day. You'll teach me all about the games you like to play. Maybe I'll learn to be on time. We'll let all the social apps all know that you are mine. I won't get anxious and I won't push you away. We'll make a long time of the love we made today. I just can't wait to get back to you. But it's so easy to say it's so when everything is right. When we've got all the time to hold each other every night. When you come back to me once more, we'll do some yoga on your living room floor. We'll laugh and talk about the way we spent our day. You'll teach me all about the games you like to play. But for now, we've got to go. They're waiting for you down on Music Road. I'll build a garden while you go make all that dough. Why do you seem so sure when I need to go slow?
Very nice. I assume, or I believe you wrote that, right?
I did.
And you wrote the music also?
I did.
So now that's pretty cool. You write all your own songs and write all the music?
Yeah. Yeah. I develop them with my band, you know, at this point. It's kind of a process. We've really started just kind of, I bring in my song, it's kind of a bare bones, and I say, well, this is kind of the skeleton, like, let's work with it. And then they'll play something cool, and I'll go, you know, that gives me an idea that I never thought of before. Let's try this. Or, you know, we'll like just start a jam and it takes on a life of its own and becomes a different song. But yeah, at this point I've been bringing in like all of the ideas, but our goal and intention is to always be writing together, you know.
How many songs have you written, Paul Park?
Oh, I don't know. Like a lot. How many do I feel good about?
Oh,
I don't
how
know,
many do you feel
maybe
good about?
15, you know, at this point. Like, yeah.
So is that something now, is that separate from your, like, do you write songs every day, or do you sit down at 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning and start writing, or how do you
It's
get your inspiration?
no, I mean it's not I'm not a scheduled songwriter, you know. The inspiration comes when it comes, honestly. Like sometimes it'll be first thing in the morning, sometimes it's like, you know, while I'm eating lunch, sometimes it's I wake up, and these are honestly my favorite times. Like if I wake up at 3 a.m., usually a song pops right into my head. And I just write it down. A lot of times it's like when I'm driving and not doing anything else, and I'll just be humming a song, and I'm like, what song is that I'm humming? And I realize like it's not a song that exists yet, but should. And so I immediately like get out my phone and start like voice recording what's in my head.
Do you
So
ever, in terms of a song, like that yoga one, do you practice yoga?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, is that where you get inspiration from stuff you do?
Uh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the lyrics that come to me happen when I'm kind of just walking around by myself, just like thinking, you know, just taking a walk and just thinking about stuff. And, you know, one line will come to my head that just feels right. And then I'll have a couple rhymes or whatever, and I'll write them down, and then I just know that there's something to that, and it'll come back later and it's fine. And then later, you know, I'll be at somebody else's show and they'll do a cool thing and I'll get inspired by that. And then, you know, I can't wait to get home and like put the thing that I was inspired by together with something else that I thought of, and then keep writing the word, you know. Like I just think these things just kind of pop in when they happen. You know, it's like a brain zap, you know.
Do you ever write something and then 5 years later change it or modify it or
Oh,
refine
sure.
it? That
Oh, yeah.
happened too?
Hmm.
And what comes first, the song or the title?
The song, for sure.
Song.
Yeah.
Okay. And so since that's a kind of a perfect segue to asking you to do another song that you're going to be now, the one we just heard, you're going to be performing that at the March
Uh-huh.
show. How about
Yeah,
another one that you're going to be performing, and I'll let you introduce it.
sure. Okay. Well, I mean, in honor of that, you know, this is kind of one of those that just came out, you know, and the song happened and then the title for sure. This is going to be one that the trio is going to do together at the show, but this won't be with the orchestra. This will be in the program, but just the three of us. I wrote this technically on December 26th of last year because it was 4 a.m. One of those moments, you know, but I guess technically it was Christmas night. And yeah, later the title came from, I think, one of the most poignant lines of the song. It's called Separate as We Seem.
Okay.
When I die, just send me home. My way. Lift me up upon your wings and let me fly. Gather round my grave and cry, but do not dare tell me goodbye. 'Cause I'll still be here when you feel a warm embrace. Late at night, when you're still trying to rope the moon, while you pick that old guitar and sing blues, while your footprints in the sand walk beside your fellow man, till you rise and feel the sunshine on your face. This body we think of as me contains it temporarily. Forever was not meant to be. There's more to this than what we see. This lie we think about the truth has turned us into me and you, and we are not separate as we sing. If only in our dreams. 'Cause I don't need to carry around these weary bones. Leave them on the earth and let me go back home. For all the things we think we know, we're still living here alone. So leave my things here, I don't need them where I'm going. This body we think of as me contains it temporarily. Forever was not meant to be. There's more to this than what we see. This lie we think of as the truth has turned us into me and you, and we're not separate as we sing. If only in our dreams, yeah, yeah. La da 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 la da 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 da. 'Cause we all gotta die. While you're here, what kind of change do you want to make? Will you leave it with more love than when you came? While your footprints in the sand walk beside your fellow man, please remember God is love, love is grace. This body we think of as me contains it temporarily. Forever was not meant to be. There's more to this than what we see. This lie we think of as the truth has turned us into me and you, and we're not separate as we see. Yeah, if only in our dreams. Yeah, yeah. La da 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 da. Oh, 'cause we all gotta die.
Very nice. And that song, if you would mention at the upcoming shows, you told me off the air, who are the people going to be performing with you?
Yeah. So I will be with Craig Kelberg on vocals and bass. He also wrote most of the arrangements for the concert. We've also got Catherine O'Shea on vocals and percussion.
Now, yeah, go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and normally we have a fiddle player with us. They're not available for this concert, and so our fiddle parts are going to be played by head chair violinist Paula Akbar with the Blue Ridge Orchestra.
Now, how often, like when you getting ready for the show, how many times will you be in rehearsal with the orchestra?
We've had with the full orchestra maybe like one and a half at this point. I've met with Milt Kratz, who's the conductor, and Paula alongside Craig a couple times now as well individually. And then we've had vocal rehearsals and band rehearsals a few times over the last month. So
I mean, that's pretty exciting to, see this
yeah,
come together. Do you
yeah.
prefer, when you play, you're playing all original stuff, do you enjoy doing covers as well?
Yes, it depends on the cover. It
Okay.
depends on the venue. It depends on who I'm playing it with, you know?
You mentioned Reba before. Do you have any favorite artists you play, you like?
Yeah, you know, I laugh because anyone who knows me really well has heard me talk about the album Raising Sand just a million times. It's like kind of a joke now. But there is something about that album because it's this incredible collaboration from Alison Krauss, who I consider to be one of the greatest singers and country bluegrass artists of all time. A lot of, people can disagree with me and that's fine. And then also one of the greatest artists of all times, Robert Plant. And so their collaboration on that album is just, it's a huge inspiration. I've gotten to play a lot of that music in the past. And I would say, yeah, they drive a lot of the kind of sound and style and vocal tone and lyrics that I enjoy.
Have you ever done a concert of their music?
I have, yeah.
Wow, I
In
love to see.
2019, I got to cover uh, the entire album Raising Sand, as well as certain songs from Alison Krauss and Union Station, and then uh, Robert Plant songs as well.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen that. That must have been exciting
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
time. And so, when people come to the show, so let me have you repeat what you said before. So the first half is going to be all the orchestra,
That's right.
and,
Hmm.
and what kind of music are they playing?
That is a really good question. I mean, it's their spring program, right?
Right.
So, and which is called Musique Menage. I would definitely say I don't want to mess up the information on there. I want to make it accurate. So people should go to blueridgeorchestra.org to find out specifics about that first hour program.
But what a terrific idea to put the two together. I mean, I've never seen quite a thing like this. Who came up with this idea?
So I have danced in a program with Blue Ridge Orchestra before, back in 2019 when they did Revels, which was a special holiday concert. And I danced to Vivaldi's second movement of Seasons. So the winter uh, movement, when Franklin Keel was soloing on cello, and I danced a contemporary ballet piece with them and did a little bit of singing with them at that time. And Milt and I became great friends, and we've been trying to figure out ways to work together again since then. And last year I just said, you know what? I know this is the right thing to do. And I called him and I said, I'll tell you how we can work together. I know that you have special guests
Right.
on this. This music is made for a classical string orchestra. Let's do it. And at first he was like, well, okay, let's try it just as a fundraiser. And then I was so lucky and happy when he called me back one day and said, you know what? Never mind. Let's just do it. Like,
Well, it's just such a great concept. I've
yeah,
never quite heard anything like this, but what a great
yeah.
combination. And I guess time permitting, I don't want to keep with you all night. Um, I have to say fancy, but I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot. One more song, if you would, please, and I'll have you introduce it.
Yeah, I can do that. Um, okay, let's see. Again, the title of the EP is Box of Love Letters, and I've played that all over the internet at this point and played that in a lot of different ways, and people will come to the concert and hear us play that as the first song from our 45-minute program. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do something else, one of the other tracks that we have. This is called Rambler. And by the way, we're releasing a track a week going up until the concert. So if you look on our social medias and all of that, we are releasing this track, which will be available on Spotify and things like that in the coming week. So, yeah, this is called Rambler.
Okay, all yours.
Hmm. I was born a rambler, I think I'll always be. I dream about flying, but I'm too scared to climb the trees. Once had the bread to fill me, but all I wanted was wine. Now I'm sitting here drunk and alone, and the bread would probably suit me fine. 'Cause I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied. I don't know if I'll ever be a wife. I don't know, and that's okay. I probably won't believe you anyway. 'Cause it's a stair leaf kind of day. Once cut off all my hair just to watch it all grow back. Had a lover pure as milk and the other man in black. Had a room full of rubies and gold, yes, enough to make a king go blind. Everything I said I'd always wanted, now I'm about to change my mind. 'Cause I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied. I don't know if I'll ever be a wife. I don't know, and that's okay. I probably won't believe you anyway. 'Cause it's a stair leaf kind of day. One day I'll follow through with something I set out to do. And all those dreams I promised you, they still might turn out to come true. But still I am searching for that thing that won't leave me wanting more. Whether I'm rich or whether I'm poor, I still wonder what's behind the other door. I came in like a hurricane and I'll leave here just as fast. Should've known this little old town would never let me last. But I've made some memories here I'll keep for the rest of my life. And I don't know if I'll see you again, but we've still got tonight. 'Cause I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied. I don't know if I'll ever be a wife. No, no, I don't know. Oh, and that's okay. I ain't gotta figure it out today. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause it's a leaving kind of day. I was born a rambler, I think I'll always be.
Very nice. The amazing Fancy Marie. And
Yeah.
Fancy Marie, just to recap one more time, if folks want to see you coming up, I guess, 2 dates in March, those 2 dates were what?
Yeah, our EP release is going to be March. Well, let me go back. March 4th, we'll be at Haywood Community College with the Blue Ridge Orchestra. And on March 5th, Same time, 3 to 5, but we'll be at the Lipinski building on UNCA campus. We're going to have an after party and Kickstarter launch and silent auction, all that good stuff at one of my favorite places in town, Little Jumbo, from 5:30 to 8. First 30 people to show up from my party we'll get a free drink ticket. We'll have merch and all kinds of pre-sales from the audio recording from the show and things like that available. So yeah.
And so, if folks want to find out more about that, again, upcoming shows, but talk about, before I ask you one final time for getting information, beyond these two shows, what's down the road for Fancy Marie? Anything else?
I mean, we're gonna have a full season, we're doing a festival season, singer-songwriter events. Yeah, I would say go to fancyandthegentleman.com or look us up on bands in town, also on the socials. I mean, I'm usually just screaming as loud as I can, as well as the rest of the bandmates about all of this stuff. So yeah, fancyandthegentleman.com is the best way to look us up.
Okay, if folks want to find you, they can find you.
That's
I'd
right.
like to, I'd like to
Hopefully, we're trying.
okay, I'd like to thank you for being my guest on this Blaine's World podcast.
Yeah.
Also, to invite folks to check out the blainesworld.net or Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You'll find us. Also, I'd
Yeah.
like to thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti. And hopefully we'll bump into each other sometime in the near future, Fancy. That was
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.